there's actually a product that we could be selling that's even better than natural gas or electricity. And it would be an alarm clock, a Scott Lawrence alarm clock. It wakes you up every morning, unless you're starting your day just like Scott comes into our offices and starts ours. You know, we live in a fascinating time. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Very similar to the times that Charles Dickens wrote about 150 years ago in his Tale of Two Cities. We face the best of times and the worst of times. History repeats itself. Mm-hmm. But the great thing is, we define ourselves by the choices we make. Yes. And we all have choices. As Chris mentioned, you chose to be here this morning. You chose to get out of bed on a Saturday morning, on a cold morning, to come out here and visit with us. You choose to get up every day versus, staying in bed. You choose to turn off the TV and go to work. You choose to make one more call. You choose to help one more person. You define yourself by the choices you make. And as we approach the fork on the road at the beginning of 2009, the choices you make this month and next month will define how you look back on this period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. It's critical, the choices you make, the goals you set down, the actions you choose to make to reach those goals. They will define whether you look back upon this period of time as we lived through 2009 and high-fived each other, or we struggled through 2009 and it was the worst of times. When I look backwards at what Chris and I chose to do several years ago, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, as we started Ambit, we chose to set up a company that would sell electricity with network marketing, direct sales. But we chose at the very beginning to define it by having setting it up as the finest company out there. We didn't want a low bar. We wanted to put that bar very, very high. We knew, as I told you all last night, that everybody here, when they approach someone about becoming an Ambit consultant or an Ambit customer, you're putting your reputation on the line, and you're trusting that we're going to get it right every single time. Not some of the time, but all the time. And we chose to be worthy of that trust. So we made the decision then that we would allocate resources to make certain that we could step up and be worthy of that trust. We chose to have outstanding systems. We had lived through the telecom days when companies without outstanding systems really struggled. They had a difficult time processing orders. They had a difficult time living up to the volumes that came flooding through their doors because people like you were very excited about the product and very excited about getting out there into the marketplace. So we chose to make certain that we could process 10 or 10,000 orders a day flawlessly. And we chose to go out and get John Burke to come in and help us build those systems. And when we couldn't buy anything off the shelf, we made the very, very difficult decision. And we chose to build these things from scratch. Unheard of. No one else out there in the marketplace today has ever done anything remotely similar to what we chose to do at that period of time. It was tough. It was grueling. People were in that office past midnight, night after night, week after week, as we chose to work hard to set up this company before you all ever came in the doors and we got started marketing. But those were decisions we made. And we knew we were defining ourselves by the choices we made in those very earliest of days as we were laying the foundation for Ambit Energy. John got started, Chris got started, and we chose to go down a path to make certain that we could deliver and be worthy of the trust that you have out there. When we look at this period of time, and we look at where we are right now, so much of the success that we have is because of the management, like-minded management, that we were able to attract to this company to help us build it along the standards we set in those earliest of days. We chose to find people who really had scaled companies before. And those folks came in to help us because they knew how to build big companies. They knew how to prioritize every single day. We live by lists. What Chris just flashed up here that Brian Tracy had mentioned, this is how you reach success, is what we do every single day in our office. We're not asking you to do anything otherwise. We all have lists. And we constantly turn around and we prioritize those lists to make certain that we're focused on what's important now. Several years ago, I had the benefit of listening to a tape by Lou Holtz. I think most of the guys will know who he is. He's a very well-regarded football coach. Many of the women here know him too, from Notre Dame, and now is a commentator on television. And Lou Holtz came and spoke, and he was talking about what has made his team so successful, all of his teams and his management style. And he focuses on the acronym WIN, W-I-N. What's important now? And every day, every hour, his people, and he too, are constantly focused on what is important now. What do I need to do right now to be successful? What do I need to do to win? What's important now? You know, what's interesting when you do that is you constantly go back and look at the goals you've established and look at what is the most important thing, not the little things, the most important thing that needs to get done today in order to be successful. And you do it constantly. And then it becomes subconscious, it becomes a habit. And you're constantly looking and saying, what's important now? We do it in our offices every single day. We do it with our systems. Every week, we sit down as a management team and we go over all the long things that we'd like to do within our systems development. And we're constantly recalibrating our list and making certain that what we're devoting time and resources and people to is really what's important right now, what's most important for us. And sometimes things get slid above others. They leapfrog one another. Sometimes things get pushed down. Sometimes they get written off saying, you know, that's no longer necessary. And as a result, we're not wasting much time. And that's a beautiful thing when you're building a company, because wasted time, wasted effort is just, it's a big burden on a company as you're trying to grow it and scale it quickly. And it's real exciting for everybody inside of a company when they know that their energies are going towards something that's really important. And the moment it turns on, everybody's excited to have it and they're going to use it every single day. So we're constantly reprioritizing in our offices and recalibrating that list to make certain that everything that we do is what's important right now. You too can do the same thing. Constantly look at that list. Don't look at it in January and say, okay, I made my goals, and then pull it up in December and say, forgot all about that one. I wonder what happened here. Look at it every single day. And you'll be amazed how quickly it becomes a habit and how quickly you can look at it and understand exactly where you are. When we look at this management team, we chose to bring them in there and we chose to push them to the highest standard possible. One of the things Scott mentioned is that last year was a pretty volatile year, and yet still we grew 500%. But some of the things the decisions we made, which not everybody understood, were based on our decision to choose to minimize risk. A lot of companies crashed and ended up on the rocks last year, and we grew 500%. We're the startup. They're the established veterans. And we still navigated through all those rocky shoals and turbulent times and ended up where we went. But that was a conscious decision to mitigate risk, to try to keep it to a minimum. Because we know you're depending upon us. So that day when you finally decide to retire to the beach and sit under an umbrella, those residual checks will still be coming to you. Because this management team has chosen to make good decisions that allow Ambit to be here 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, long periods of time from now, and those checks that you worked so hard to earn will still be coming your way. Part of how we define ourselves is who we choose to be. And I think most of y'all, have you all been to our offices here in Dallas? Who has been to the office in Dallas? Who has not been there? Well, you're all invited. So come on, don't come at one time. Come on in. When you come to our offices, you'll see how we chose to allocate our resources. We chose not to have offices. It's wide open space. Now it's beautiful white. It's a 100-year-old warehouse with polished hardwood floors and red brick walls and lots of windows and lots of light cascading through it. But we consciously chose to keep it open. And the reason for it was primarily rapid communications, but also we wanted to be transparent and accountable to one another. And that really helps a fast-growing company stay on its toes.